today. Let me pull up my iPad so I can tell you all about her. All right. Lori Carter is a certified medium, healer, and permitted teacher in Cassadaga Spiritualist Camp. She's all over the social media with her posts and blogs, keeps her a very busy girl, which are on her website, fromtheethers.com. In addition, she is a professional writer. She wrote for newspapers and magazines for 25 years. She is also the author of a novella and compilation of short stories, and co-author of 2 books with the late Reverend Mary Rose Gray. Her latest self-published book is an instructional manual, Science and Tools of Mediumship Development course. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you our one and only Lori Carter.
Thank you so much, Marty, for being here today. And I just want to say she's quite the medium here in Cassadaga as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. So most of you had the pleasure of meeting my grandchildren this morning. Royce is 3, and my granddaughter Persephone is going to be turning 1. And so I want to share a little story with you this morning. And it is about my grandson. He was about 7 months old. And at that time, I got to be his nanny twice weekly. And sometimes my daughter Dot brought him to the camp. And so when she was doing readings, I was taking care of him. And so one day I was watching him and we did this and that. I was kind of running out of things to do. So we sat down and watched an awesome video, Sesame Street video about the number 4. We saw it many times before and he always loved it. The woman was singing with 4 Muppets dancing along. Everything was peachy until the Muppets started singing. He cried like there was no tomorrow. His mother came running in to save the day. My point in sharing this story today is that he was in fear that his life was over the way he was accustomed to. In the grand scheme of things, his fear was unfounded. Today, I want to talk to you about death, so-called death. It's nothing new. We're all leaving this earth plane eventually. Why have a fear around it? It is in the natural order of life. You know, it's really mind-bending, though. It's when you're forced to face your own mortality. I put my faith in that everything is in divine order, and it is. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in 2016. They said the good kind. If there could be a good kind, I was grateful for that. It was surreal. I found a lump in my left breast, went to my daughter's house to see what she thought, and got to the doctor that Tuesday. It happened to be a holiday weekend. In a matter of 4 days, I had another mammogram, never to be had again, thankfully, and a biopsy, which was diagnosed as cancer. The following week, I had an MRI, and it was thought to be contained in my breast. I never feared it. Why? Because everything is truly in divine order. Additionally, I am a clairvoyant, and about 7 years before my diagnosis, I saw my left breast blackened. I told my good friend about it. It was after my double mastectomy that I learned that it had gotten into 3 lymph nodes under my arm, and they had taken several more. Chemo, radiation, and 5 reconstruction surgeries to date. Just before my big surgery, the one that took 8 hours, I did make sure I had my wishes notarized. Everything is in divine order. In spiritualism, our declaration of principles include: we affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. And we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomenon of spiritualism. I have been doing readings in this camp for nearly 8 years. I've done in-person, phone, and Skype readings with many clients looking to connect with loved ones on the higher side of life. Through these instances, it has been proven to me time and time again, when it is time to go, Spirit is waiting for us on the higher side. Most times I do not recall my readings, but when something I feel is profound, I do remember, or perhaps Spirit allows me to recall them to share with others. I did a phone reading one time. When I called, 2 women were on the line, an elder woman and her middle-aged daughter. I was a little surprised because I normally only do phone readings with one person, but I thought it was meant to be, so I continued. I brought the elder woman's mother and her daughter's grandmother in. She had recently passed. On several occasions, I brought a little girl in who had a black dress on with a white lapel. She was probably around 6 or 7 years old. She had brown eyes and brown hair with bangs. It was cut to a short length bob. She seemed to have left the earth plane long ago. At first, the clients didn't know the spirit, so we continued. That little girl came back, so I said it. This time, the mother and daughter discussed that their mother and grandmother described that same little girl in spirit who sat on the chair waiting for her to leave the earth plane so they could go together. Pretty amazing, right? Have I become desensitized to death? I used to think maybe, but I don't think so. I'm a compassionate, caring person, wanting to heal the universe, wanting others to realize that death is not good or bad. It just is. I wonder if people who are ready to leave this earth plane know it on some level. After my dad left the plane, I made myself sick over it for better part of a year. We miss the people who are no longer with us. I get that. Most of us know there are 7 stages that we go through when somebody leaves the earth plane: grief, denial, isolation, shock, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Not necessarily in that order. I do believe on some level that my dad knew it, though. My daughter and I were up visiting for his valve replacement surgery. Looking back, he took us to the cemetery to show us where family and friends were buried. We went to his favorite restaurants, and the night before his surgery, he hurried to get to the hardware store so he could fix the toilet. Yeah, the day of the surgery, when you go back and get to hang out with your loved one, he kissed my mother so mushily that it made us adult children feel uncomfortable. He never left that hospital. Back to facing my own mortality. And I have to tell you, I am an 8-year breast cancer survivor. Yes. And several times, thank you, Spirit. And several times I felt a left lump in my breast. Did I freak out that I was going to die? No. I got sad though, because I was not going to be able to hang out with my grandchildren in the physical, my daughter, or my family. And then I got a grip and realized that I really would miss the food and the music. I love music. Ultimately, everything is in divine order. My theories on where we go after this earth plane continuously evolve. I believe that when we leave this plane, we continue as we are at the moment of our physical death. I've been told there is light everywhere and one must go to the light. If one waits, the light gets smaller and smaller, but it's always there above one's head. So remember that. Go to the light. My friend, mentor, and all-around beautiful life service, and I stayed with her for numerous days in the week before she passed. On one day, she was resting in her bedroom, and she told me of a dream she had. She dreamt of a bright light. It was beautiful and glorious. She came to the gates. Everything was white. and she thought that she was not allowed in, that she was not good enough. Days later, and the day before she left the earth plane, I reminded her that she helped thousands of people as a nurse, thousands more as a massage therapist, thousands more as a performer on stage, thousands of people as a medium and healer, and thousands of people as a teacher. I said to her that she made her mark on this earth plane, and she whispered to me, "Your words." At one of her celebrations of life, her shell laid in a casket. I looked on and noticed her etheric right eye blink at me. Yeah, she was there, and she knew I saw her. My father's face transfigured with laughter a day before he was cremated. And that was before I realized my gifts as a medium. My neighbor saw a white light leave his wife's body when she left the earth plane. I do believe that life continues. At times, clients come in and it is shown that they have a fear around death. I tell them, if they haven't done so already, to decide what happens when we leave the earth plane. Perhaps they study various religions to see what works for them. Maybe they have to take a little more, they take a little from here and a little from there. And finally, I tell them about a couple of books that share what happens to us when we leave the earth plane. The information is channeled from spirit to individuals who wrote the books. The first is The Blue Island by W.T. Steed. I used to buy that book and give it away. Well, now it's a lot more expensive, so you know. We do have it in the bookstore, but there is a free PDF online at openlibrary.org. There's also a place where you can listen to it as well. Just type into your browser, free PDF of The Blue Island. Another book I like to suggest is The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, How My Bad Boy Brother Proved to Me There's Life After Death by Annie Kagan, which is in our bookstore. And I love to include quotes in my talks because they make me and hopefully you ponder our beliefs. A couple of quotes from The Afterlife of Billy Finger. Humans don't usually get to experience the full magnificence of their lives while they're living it. They get caught up in lots of ideas and lose sight of the miracle that is their life. There's a lot of freedom going on here that you don't have where you are. Earth, the conditions there traps you in limitation. For me, there seems to be no limitation, only potential. Beliefs are big on Earth. People collect them. Some of these beliefs are helpful, but others just keep you running around trying to follow the rules that others have laid out. They don't have a lot of personal meaning. It's a good idea to sort through your beliefs now and then and throw out the ones that don't serve you. It's okay to have a fear of something, only for a moment though. I have to tell you, I used to fear that palmettos would fly into my hair and get stuck there. Seriously though, the cockroach is a great animal totem. It means survivor, and it stayed with me through my healing journey. It showed up at my daughter's house in the door when I had my double mastectomy. She swore she had never seen a palmetto in her house before. Another time, for the first 2 days of radiation treatment, a palmetto showed itself on the bathroom floor before I showered. On the third day, it was gone. And after my big surgery, I wondered when it would be shown. This time, it was in the etheric, which I was truly thankful for because there would be no way that I'd be able to move quick enough to squash it. As a writer, I put a lot of thought into my quote unquote story before I write it. I must say, I am thankful for my writing guides and all of my guides. Sometimes I talk to people about my topic to mull things over. In one instance, I heard this story about so-called death. A woman shared that a woman was dying and her room smelled horrible for weeks. but her loved ones still visited. She herself knew of the smell and felt bad to have her loved ones deal with it. After she crossed over, one of her loved ones went into the room and it smelled of roses, the sweetest smell she had ever smelled. I've written thousands and thousands of stories for the Lake edition of the Orlando Sentinel. I covered a story one time on a gentleman who had an inoperable brain tumor. He had a party of a lifetime. All of his friends gathered. I learned and told in the story that he could die at any second of any day to include the present moment. Imagine, you truly must be at peace with yourself. Remember, everything is in divine order. Again, having a belief system as to what will happen to us is helpful. The forerunner of spiritualism, Emanuel Swedenborg, 1688 to 1772, inspired Andrew Jackson Davis, 1826 to 1910, in his major work, The Great Harmonia, to say that Summerlin is the pinnacle of human spiritual achievement in the afterlife. That is, it is the highest level or sphere of the afterlife we can hope to enter. C.W. Leadbeater, a theosophist, also taught that those who were good in their previous earthly incarnation went to a place called Summerland between incarnations. The Aztecs believed that when one of their own died, they would enter any of one of three places, and each place having various levels. In addition, women who lost their lives during childbirth and fallen warriors were believed to be transformed into hummingbirds. And hummingbirds as an animal totem is about joy. I love that. According to Buddhists, life is a journey, whereas death is returning to earth. A Buddha who has attained a state of enlightenment is the only one who gets to enter nirvana, the highest state of perfect peace and happiness. Suffering and desires do not exist. Those who do not reach nirvana are reborn immediately after their death, where they receive another body. Christians believe that he or she will enter an eternal rest called heaven, a place where there will never be any pain, crying, or mourning. According to the book of Revelation, people who refuse to be born again end up in a lake burning with fire and brimstone as an eternal punishment for their rebellion towards God. Muslims believe in a good place called paradise and a bad place called hell. Those bound for paradise will experience peace before the resurrection, and those bound for hell will suffer in their graves. Hindus believe in a supreme God called Brahma, who manifests himself through many other gods and goddesses. Hindus believe in reincarnation. When someone dies, he or she is born into a different body, mostly based on his or her previous life. They believe that humans are bound to illusion and ignorance, but can escape it during rebirth when their souls realize their true natures. And the religion known as Epicureanism, the belief system is that of many gods, but none of them takes notice of what human beings are up to. They believe that everything, including their gods and souls, is made up of atoms. No afterlife exists. The soul dissolved, and that becomes the end of them. Native American Indians cultures focus on ceremonies and maintaining harmony with the world. The focus was on living in harmony today, not on death. They felt that they would find out when they die and should not waste time thinking about the afterlife. And finally, indigenous people believe that our original mother, Mother Earth, who nourished our bodies, reclaims our physical forms. Our original father, the creator, takes our spirits to return them to their place of origin. The bottom line is, and has always been, we are going to leave this earth plane at one time or another. I really don't understand why people are so fearful. Fear is a lower level vibration. When it's time to go, you go. Be at peace with yourself. In the meantime, if you don't have a belief system, do a study of your own. Decide what your belief system is. Talk openly with family and friends about it, maybe at Thanksgiving. That was supposed to be kind of funny, but anyway. Don't forget to live life instead of fearing what happens when we leave. Live life. Everything is in divine order. And of course, I'm going to leave you with a few more quotes. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next adventure. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Mark Twain. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Mark Twain. And finally, something else to ponder, and perhaps my next talk. To live your truth and to be in your peace during this lifetime, always be you. When people don't express themselves, they die one piece at a time. Lori Hulse Anderson, speak. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lori. That was lovely.